Good afternoon, everyone. Today I decided to do something a bit different. I'll do a freestyle review of one of my recent weeks of trading on ByBit. So look at this first. The Tortoise, the new Ninja Tortoise. It brought in, over the 8 days, 782 USDT. That's pretty cool and I'm so happy for it. And if you go beyond those dates, it's even better. It recently got back on its feet and brought in over 1000 USDT. But we're going to be focusing on this date range first because that's where things are getting really interesting. So first of all, how was I able to turn things around and get to this number, whereas before it was pretty much dead? Well, instead of trying to cover all the possible coins that ever existed and trying to trade them on all possible distances, as you can see here, this is the types of distances I've ever used on any type of algorithm on ByBit, I decided to do a more focused approach. So I limited my number of coins that I'm trading to very few ones that have shown consistent good performance. Plus, I have focused on a smaller number of distances, and all of them are quite high, except for this 1 to 5. And also, surprisingly, the focus was on the sell side, because the buy side was pretty dead. So I turned everything off on the buy side except for whatever this trade is. But overall, that's what we got. And with fewer coins and fewer distances, I am able to increase the order size, and that's where the profits come in. So bigger orders, more focused on what actually works. How big of order sizes are we talking about? Well, let's look here. 2.5K per order on average. On this account, 2.3K. And on this account, it's again 2.5K. And as you can see, I have filtered it all for this one coin, AERGO, or whatever you want to pronounce it. I don't know, I just say AERGO. And it brought in most of those profits. Check out, here we've got plus 108. Here we have plus 182. And here we've got plus 360 pretty much. So what is this AERGO coin? I looked it up, and it's actually a utility coin. And it's not just a stupid meme coin, which maybe I do or I don't care about. I mean, respect for making actually something useful. And it is in fact widely used, from what I've read, by the South Korean government and the South Korean banking system for signing documents, etc. So kudos to AERGO. Now, I first noticed it on the 10th of April here on my active markets algo. I had lower order sizes here, around 600 at the distance of 3.1, but then I got pretty good trades here with a take of 0.8, with a take of 0.6. So I decided to get it out of the active markets and use permanent orders with it. And it went quite well. So here I started on the 10th, and in just one day, let's see how much it got me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It got me 53 USDT. I said, okay, fine. I used distances of 1.5, and also then I think I've added 2.15. Yeah, that's it. So it performed very well. So I left it alone and watched it for some abnormalities, but there was nothing too special. I've got, one loss here, one loss there, but overall, look at this. This is very good. Then something happened on the 14th, and it has nothing to do with this particular coin. It has to do with my core. Here in my list of strategies, you can see a new one, a surprising one, and it's called Core Crash. Check this out. On the 14th, one of my cores crashed, and it doesn't show up in the reports at all. So I was only able to verify that this is the amount I've lost based on the balance change. So I have manually entered it here as a number, minus 361, even though there is no proof of it in Moontrader anywhere. So on the 14th, I got pretty frustrated because losing almost 400 out of thin air, it didn't feel right. So I decided to double down and triple down on what's been working so far. And that included AERGO. So I did something quite risky, and without a good appetite for risk, I don't recommend that you do this. But I have taken these algos with the few coins that actually worked, and I duplicated it to other accounts. I made sure to make some modifications. So here you can see I've used a distance of 4.2 just in case, and it performed rather well with huge takes like 2%, 1.7%. Then I used a slightly different distance of 1.9. Then on yet another account, I used 2.45 and 1.92. And this one was limited to a flat Bitcoin. And this one here was not limited to any sort of Bitcoin volatility. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4%, just not to get too crazy. But that's the results I've gotten. Until we get to here. But this comes in a bit later. So I was happy with the way the Tortoise was performing. As you can see here on the 14th, I got a loss of 361. And then with my Tortoise strategy, the very next day on the 15th, I made it all back with all those duplicate algorithms. Looks pretty nice. However, the reason I do not recommend to do this blindly is as follows. If you go here, AERGO was not the only coin that got this treatment. I also had SPX, which was performing very well, but then the very day that I switched to have the same coins traded on multiple accounts, it got me liquidated at almost exactly 100 USDT. And that's not the only one. I mean, on this account, it did the same thing. SPX minus 100, so I got double liquidated. That's what makes it quite dangerous, but overall, AERGO compensated for the losses on SPX. So then again, I left it alone, and it was doing okay. Let's go back to AERGO here. And then something happened on the 16th. Here on this account, it doesn't look too bad. It's just one loss of 7 USDT. But then on this account, on the 16th, we have this 1, 2, 3. 3 losses in a row at a distance of 1.9. And the reason we have 3 here is because, may I remind you that this was not limited to specific Bitcoin volatility. So here, this was sort of a warning sign for me. Something is happening. Let me show you what happened. On CoinMarketCap, we go here, and that's the price of AERGO over the previous month. As you can see, it went up and up and up, and then crashed dramatically. So I entered somewhere here on the 10th, as it was just starting to rise, and then I collected all my profits on the sell side specifically, as it kept rising and rising and rising. But then on the 16th, as you saw, something happened, and this is what happened. Binance Futures announced that it's gonna be listing AERGO. It happened on the 16th. Here, CoinMarketCap actually tells you what the key events are, and here it says AERGO listed on Binance Futures. And that's where the trend changed. But the warning signs were there even after the announcement. The market reacts even before something actually happened. It reacts when something is announced. This is quite weird to me actually, because I remember AERGO being on Binance and then it being delisted, which was actually quite recently. Right here on the 28th of March, it says Binance will delist AERGO among other coins. But then just in a couple of weeks, it listed back. What's the deal here? And why did this cause actually such a crash? Well, some news sources say that AERGO crashed over 70% amid Binance manipulation rumors. Yeah, so there are rumors that there has been market manipulation, and here we see pretty much the same graph with a gradual growth and then a drop. So whatever the reasons are, it's a good thing I noticed that something was about to change. So this is the graph of the AERGO price on that day, and the announcement happened somewhere here. You can see that there is some sort of spike and then it went down, but this is where I got my strange losses and where I decided to just wait it out. I turned off all algos that had AERGO in them and waited to see what happened. So as you can see, even before the listing, the trading intensified, and you can see that the mark price was doing wild things. So then somewhere here we've had a huge shot which measures at 44%. Well, I don't think it was 44. I remember it being like about 18 or 20%. I actually have live footage, which I will insert here. But basically it went really wild, and if I was trading anywhere near here, then I would have been wiped out really badly and lost all the whatever 600 or 700 USDT that this coin brought me. Yeah, it's actually 18% exactly as I remember if you measure it with the ruler here. I think if you try to measure it like this, it takes into account the current price, which is way down there, and that's why you get confusing numbers. So it's not 40, it's 18. It's this one. So I'm happy I got out right when it started hitting the fan. So once I thought it calmed down, I tried restarting my trading with this coin. I tried using a safer distance of 2.9, but as you can see here, it was consistently losing. So in the end, I decided to stop. So apparently the strategy that I have devised has been working quite well as the coin was going up. Remember, it's on the sell side. But then as it turned around, and here is this shot, as it turned around, the strategy stopped working and I stopped it, which I'm very proud of. I followed the news, I followed the situation, I noticed that the turnaround is happening, I turned everything off, and I've kept the profits that I've made on its way up in the 8 days. And I think there are a few lessons that can be learned from this experience. For me particularly, at this point in my trading, bigger orders with the coins that proved themselves working well is the way to go. I mean, that's how I get the numbers here. You see, previously I used to get much lower numbers. You see 1 USDT here, 6 here, -4, and then -30, -45, -48, and this made me sort of panic because that's too much losing in my humble experience up to that point. But then as you refine your strategy, refine your whitelist, and you up the order size, and you start getting +220 one day, +110 another day, then a loss of 40 here, a loss of 40 here is not such a big deal anymore, because you know that it's quite possible that you make another 190 here, another 190 here, so this is not such a big deal. That's one lesson for me, for now. Focused big orders seem to be working. Secondly, with fewer coins, you have more bandwidth, you might say, to watch out for them, to see what's actually going on, to read the news, and adjust your strategy accordingly. I mean, my understanding that it was gonna be listed and that something was gonna happen made me play it a bit safer, even though the strategy that I was using was quite risky. I played it safer and avoided that 18% shot that would have wiped everything out. I mean, in general, if the strategy is profitable, it kind of makes sense to up the order size and get the most of it in terms of absolute USDT, but it doesn't work for every coin. For a future video, I'm saving another type of strategy that I was trying to use, where the coins were pretty good in testing, but then when you start actually trading with higher order sizes, it all goes downhill. It all has to do with the order book. So here, if you were to look at the AERGO order book, it's pretty dense, and let's say at the distance of 1.7, we've got 300k, which is fine. But I mean, you've got other coins that at this distance have 5k, 10k, 15k. But that's for another time. I'm getting way ahead of myself. By the way, you may have noticed that I'm now on the new public version of Moontrader, and let me know if you'd like to hear my take on what's new and different here. But until next time, keep on trading, and if you want, subscribe.